And we're fortunate in the fact that like Michaela's always there, so you can always talk to Michaela about what she intended for a moment or what she wants the characters to be doing at any given moment, which is the dream, you know, because usually like it's just the actor and the director and you're kind of trying to approximate something that might relate to the original story, you know, but like to have the storyteller in the room with you, either as she's directing or if even if she's in the same scene as you, is was really helpful.
What attracted you to your roles, and what do you think that you brought to them, each of you? We'll start with Weruche this
time. Crazily enough, I had always wondered about how it would feel playing an actor. Which is a weird one in itself, because I was like, am I going to play myself? Am I going to play an actor? Am I going to act like I'm acting? So that was a question I had in my head, but there were some bits where I thought, you know, there are similar experiences. So Terry is not me. There were elements that I could relate to. And yeah, I just tried to make her. I mean, when I spoke to Michaela, she said to me that, I mean, we had a few conversations where she said she couldn't believe that I was Terry, because in her head, it managed to translate. And I found that was really touching, because I was like, that's magical. Like, I'd never obviously known of the character Terry, but being cast for her meant that there was something in there, and it was just quite amazing. Yeah, I think it was an amazing experience, and the acting part was a bit of the mind trouble, but we got through it because I'm an actor and I act.
You definitely got through it. I must say, she's right to see your words become human is a rush of euphoria, and that's what I felt when I saw Terry's Weruche's audition tape, and the same with Papa. It's a beautiful feeling. So thanks, guys.
You were made for the roles, both of you, it sounds like. And just for context, for those who haven't watched the series yet, you both play best friends of Arabella, so of Michaela's character. And the relationships that you've managed to create with both of them throughout the series, I think, are really special and feel really, really true to life in terms of what it's like to have best mates who really get you, but make mistakes, and also figuring out how to talk to each other about the most difficult things that are going on in your lives. And there's some really beautiful scenes that those who haven't watched the series yet have got to look forward to. Weruche, just following up on the fact that you played a struggling actor in the series, I was so fascinated by that one scene where you're trying to get cast for a beauty advert, and you're put in this position that's like just loaded with microaggressions. Like, I felt it under my skin, like, and it was just like everything about that scene just hit so well. I guess so just again, for a bit more context, you're asked about your hair. There's like the weird comments about like how many followers have you got on Instagram, or like whatever it is. And like undertones about like the diverse nature of casting. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that scene, and you know what it is that is saying to the industry at large. It seems to have a bit of a message.
I mean, the base of the scene, the way it was set up and everything, was very like a commercial casting. I've been to quite a lot of them. I remember stepping in the room for the scene and I was like, oh, flashback, we're back to commercials. So that was interesting. But the little stuff like the followers, I've heard there's some, like that's what people do now. I've not experienced that myself. But I've heard that's part of what happens now. I know that they are quite specific what they want in terms of a look. So I know that I tend to go to an audition if I kind of have an idea of what hair I can go with. So sometimes I'd rock up like this, or if it was a more corporate thing, I might change the hair up a little bit. But these are things that are like undertones that are in these commercial castings. So at the end of the day, you want to look like what they're looking for. So that is part of it, but it's also a bit worrying because as an actor going into a commercial casting, you still want to be known for your work and not entirely your appearance. But because commercials are that quite, I mean, they're a bit surface. They're quickly, you know, 1 minute, 2 minutes on the screen. So I guess they kind of get away with it. But yeah, it's crazy how things are changing. drastically.
Sorry, I just had myself on mute there. Thank
That's
you.
cool.
And then, Paapa, you've spoken about one of the interesting things I thought in terms of like the behind the scenes bit of filming this show, which was the fact that it's 12 episodes. You filmed them sort of like intermittently, from what I understand, so it wasn't like a linear process. And you sort of commented on the like some of the difficulties and like getting yourself in the like headspace to be like who you are, because the character progression is so great throughout the course of the series. How did you how did you get yourself in the mind frame to like be who your character is in that moment at different stages of filming?
Yeah, I think it takes quite a lot of focus and quite a lot of concentration, because we didn't shoot in sequence. You very rarely do. We kind of, we kind of shot like the first 6 episodes and then the second 6 episodes around in like kind of like did the first half and first half and second half and second half, which is helpful. But yeah, I think it requires quite a lot of discipline and focus and actually preparation. I think I found on this to be like really crucial to be able to perform on a moment by moment basis, because like we're fortunate in the fact, number one, we're fortunate in the fact that like Michaela's always there, so you can always talk to Michaela about what she intended for a moment or what she wants the characters to be doing at any given moment, which is the dream, you know, because usually like it's just the actor and the director and you're kind of trying to approximate something that might relate to the original story, you know, but like to have the storyteller in the room with you, either as she's directing or even if she's in the same scene as you, is was really helpful. So it kind of like rooted you in the moment, because like what you want to be able to do is perform moment by moment and hope that the kind of like thread of moments amalgamates to make a kind of like linear storyline. But yeah, I think for me, like I think having Michaela there was a real lifesaver, especially in those moments where it required something that was like quite extreme or demanding or whatever. You don't want to kind of like just like go too far with it. Like if in an emotional scene, like you could be thinking about that for like 2 weeks before, I've got this emotional scene that needs to shoot, and then it gets to it and you like really go for it, and it kind of doesn't, it's incongruous with what's happening in the rest of the episode. So suddenly it's like quite chill, and then there's this huge like peak of like tears and whatever. But Michaela's always got the story in her head. She always knows at what point and at what point of like intensity or whatever that we're at. So like yeah, I think that was really useful for helping me to focus.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. Are there any particular sort of scenes you're thinking of when you're thinking of like that heightened emotion, or where you particularly like needed to lean on her and get her feedback on things?
There's lots of scenes. Like I think like the amazing thing about Kwame and really about all the characters is like he's got a real spectrum of response to the things that he goes through in the episode, without kind of like giving any spoilers away. Like something big happens to him in episode 4, and for the rest of the series it's kind of like a study in like various responses to that. And some of them are like quite intense, some of them are quite unhealthy, some of them are quite full of love and joy and whatever. Like there's so like kind of everything was infused with something quite deliberate and particular, both in the writing and like I guess it was my job to bring that out in the performance.
And yeah, I mean that moves us quite neatly on to another question I had for you, which is about that scene I think you're referring to at the end of episode 4. And sorry, this is going to be a spoiler for people who haven't yet watched it, but it's quite a graphic scene where your character is sexually assaulted and raped by a man on a date. And I know that you were sort of supported through filming, I think, and I presume this was for all of you, with an intimacy director. And I just wanted to talk to you a bit about that process and how, you know, when you were filming something that looks for the audience to be so incredibly intense and traumatizing, you were sort of supported through that. Because I imagine that must have been like a real sort of concern for the people behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think yeah, you're right. It's about the way the performers are looked after in those moments. You know, I think the process was thorough and always had us at the center of the thought, you know. So we kind of met up before we even started filming to choreograph, or not to choreograph, but to talk about these scenes and to kind of like talk a lot about consent. This is a show about many different things, but one of the things that it kind of like challenges are questions about consent. So of course we need to be sure about what we're consenting to as we're performing. So we worked with an intimacy coordinator called Issa O'Brien, who's fantastic, and she's worked on like huge shows and big shows, but like she's a real unique kind of like human being and collaborator, you know. She really focuses on you and what you understand about a scene and what you're trying to bring out of the scene and how you're comfortable doing it. And she will overrule anyone. She'll overrule a director, first AD, another actor, in order to protect you. And there's something about that which allows you as a performer to feel relaxed and allows you to feel that you can focus on the job at hand. And I think, like, and I'm sure Michaela will echo this, like, it applies to all different types of scenes. It applies to, like, of course, like a really intrusive and violent, I guess, assault scene like mine, but it also applies to like the more light-hearted scenes, which are just about like, I mean, again, I don't want to go into spoilers, but you were talking about a certain scene earlier on, like that needs to be choreographed with the same amount of dexterity, I guess, and delicacy. So yeah, it was about allowing us to feel relaxed, and then we can really commit to the size of that moment. Because like with those kind of beats in the story, you can't underplay them. You have to really go for it. You have to go there in order to honor what the storyteller is trying to communicate. So I think the structure helmed by an intimacy coordinator was crucial in order to help that happen.